Hi, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk Chicago. My name's Jon Zaghloul. Great to have you here on Channel 59.3, BPOD TV, and Roku. Big news, Robert Quinn could be traded. What's it mean for the Bears moving forward? We'll break it all down in just a second. Before we get started, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jon Z Sports and on Facebook at Jon Zaghloul. If you want to watch more of this show, search up Sports Talk Chicago on YouTube or go to sportstalkchicago.com. If you want to watch more shows from the BPOD TV network, search up BPOD TV on YouTube. I want to start today with this. Usually, when somebody denies something, it ends up being true. How many times have we seen this? Sports, politics, public relations, whatever it might be. They may use different language and try and twist certain terms. At the end of the day, the truth will always come out, and we'll always know what really happened. The other day, during a press conference, Ryan Poles took issue with the Bears reporter calling what the Bears are doing a rebuild. He said, it's not really a rebuild. I take issue with that word. We're building on the fly. Look. It's a rebuild. The Cubs said last year, not a rebuild, retool. Yet you trade away 3 of your prolific superstars, lose 90 games, and now you're 6-10. Rebuild. Not a retool, rebuild. There's no such thing in my vocabulary as a retool. It's either you're all in or you're not. That's simple. It's either you're in it to win it this year or you're not. And you're rebuilding. And you're budgeting money, budgeting salary cap numbers, trading everybody, and moving forward. I'd rather Ryan Poles say, you know what, on this roster, I see nothing salvageable. We are rebuilding our roster to be ready for 2023, 2024, and so forth. I'd rather him be honest. I understand, again, from a PR standpoint, not the best way to go about it. But when you hear somebody in power say it's not a rebuild, chances are it is. And today, proves it. Been some reports that Robert Quinn is being shopped. Ian Rappaport reported it yesterday. Now he came out today and said this, quote, the Bears are not currently shopping pass rusher Robert Quinn, when referenced some uncertainty in his interview and other teams have been monitoring. Yesterday, Rappaport said Robert Quinn was in Chicago today meeting the new staff and spending time with Matt Eberflus, but teams are sniffing around on him for a possible trade. Which is it? I know what the answer is, and I'm not even in Hallis Hall. I'm not connected to these meetings. But when a report like this comes out, and then you deny the fact that you're having a rebuild, yes, he's tradable. That's the whole point of this report. What do I gather from this? He's tradable. He's expendable. Somebody's reaching out about him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did get traded at some point. So be prepared, Bears fans. That's all. Don't be shocked when the news comes back that, hey, Robert Quinn's being traded for a second-round pick next year. Or who knows, maybe a second-round pick tomorrow. Very possible. Quinn, 18.5 sacks. This is the peak time of his value, and he broke a Bears franchise record last year. If you want to trade Robert Quinn, here's the time to do it. He is not going to replicate what he did last year. And I understand you may not have lots of defensive weaponry if you get rid of him. But what did Ryan Poles say? What did the Bears say? It's a retool rebuild. It's a rebuild. Everybody's available. Everybody's expendable. It's a rebuild. And you know what? If I'm Ryan Poles, I'm looking at Robert Quinn, his contract, what the Bears are expected to pay him, and what he did last year. Trade him now. Here's your time to do it. Right before the draft, you get more draft picks back. Look, it's a new regime. Ryan Poles wants things done his way. That's why new coaches were hired. That's why new staff was hired. That's why some players were let go and others signed. It's his team now. He does not want anything that corresponds to the Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy era. I don't blame him for that. But to me, it's idiotic and insulting to say, oh, it's not a rebuild, and on top of it, we're not shopping Robert Quinn. And the report already came out saying you were, and teams were calling and interested. Just be honest. That's all I ask for. Be honest. Stop wasting everybody's time. He's expendable. Everybody's expendable. Khalil freaking Mack got traded for a second-round pick, okay? You're going to tell me Robert Quinn's going to be safe? Come on. Khalil Mack meant more to this team and actually still performed. I know, got hurt, but still. Khalil Mack was a significant player on this team for the past 5 years, but remember, Ryan Pace signing, gone. Robert Quinn, Ryan Pace signing, going to be gone. I would be shocked if Robert Quinn is suiting up as a Bear come game 1 in September. I would be completely shocked after this report. Usually, when stuff like this comes out, it's true. Remember the Matt Nagy situation, Thanksgiving? I firmly believe at that time that reporter who reported the news was right, and the Bears, out of spite, decided to keep Matt Nagy around till the end of the year to screw that reporter. I firmly believe it. I know it in my heart. I have that feeling. And he ended up getting fired anyway, which was right. This reporting is not faulty or wrong at all. If this report came out yesterday, then today Ian Rappaport, oh, well, the Bears aren't really shopping him. No, the first thing was right. The second thing is probably wrong. For now. We all have to remember that everybody's expendable. It's a rebuild, not a retool. And I'm not mad about this. I have no problem with getting rid of Robert Quinn. I get it. Business-wise, makes a lot of sense. You're going to get back something significant. This is his peak value. This is the time to do it if you're going to do it. This is the time to listen to offers, make a trade, potentially, even before the draft. Gain another draft pick for this year, maybe one for next year. I have no issue with this. Just be honest, though. Just tell us the truth. I'd rather hear the truth. I'd rather hear Ryan Poles get up to a podium, up for a press conference, say, you know what? We aren't that good. I've looked at this roster. Everybody on this roster, with the exception of Justin Fields, is expendable. And we will do what we need to do to make this team a contender come next year. If you just said that, great, fine, we're good. But instead, to dispute the term rebuild, you had to have this report come out about Robert Quinn, then have it be somewhat retracted. Not a good look. To be honest, really not a good look. Doesn't look good. This is the stuff that hurt Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. And this doesn't really even come from polls necessarily. This is from the top again. George McCaskey, Ted Phillips. Oh, but they said they'd be out of the process now. Nope, they're still very much involved. And this proves it. Remember the insults that the Bears took for that whole Matt Nagy fiasco on Thanksgiving. How it was classless. Why did this even get out? Why did this get leaked? Now look what's happening. Similar things, different player. Different person. I don't even fully blame Ryan Poles for this report coming out and all this buzz and news being picked up about it. I don't. Because I know who runs the show there. It's not him. Really, it isn't. Still the same two people. I find it comical that Ian Rappaport, in a matter of 15 hours, goes from, quote, teams are sniffing around for a possible trade to Quinn is not being shot by the Bears. What? The first report was right. Second one, wrong. And that's what I take from this whole thing. And that's just common sense. That's not even a conspiracy. And I don't have sources on this, but look at the past for the Bears and look at what Ryan Poles said the other day. Oh, it's not a rebuild yet. This first report comes out. And we had talked about this during the season, that Robert Quinn would probably be traded. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Oh, they traded Mack, so Quinn's okay. No. If anything, I would have actually traded Quinn over Mack, only for the sense that this is Quinn's peak. Coming off an 18.5 sack season. If you want to trade him, do it now, not later. This is his peak value. This is like the stock market. Buy low, sell high. Bears didn't necessarily buy low, but they could sell high right here. That's the biggest mistake the Cubs made last year with Chris Bryant. I've said this a number of times. There were hot rumors in May of last year. Bryant was hitting 380, 370. Hey, Cubs and White Sox might make a trade. Nothing happened. Nobody did anything. And Bryant went down to 260, 270. Then the Cubs flipped him for essentially nothing at the deadline. Could have gotten so much more back if they traded him when he was hot. It's all a gamble. It's all a risk. I highly recommend that if Brian Poles has any thought of trading Robert Quinn, do it now while his value is at the top. I can imagine how many teams would love an 18.5 sack linebacker. I can't imagine. There'd be so many available, so many willing to take him on. And even pay him. If the Chargers are eating up the rest of Khalil Mack's salary, Mack is older and not as productive. So you better believe there are teams who want somebody like Robert Quinn in their ranks. The question is, will the Bears do it? I say yes, and I still believe at this point. Come next year, come game one, he will not be on this team, and this report to me proves it. Trade rumors are always circulating on tons of different players, and nothing happens. But for Ryan Poles to deny the fact this is a rebuild, then for this report to come out, then Ian Rappaport to correct his own reporting, that goes to show you something's up. Whether this happens before the trade, on draft night, or after, before game one, I firmly believe something's going to happen with Robert Quinn. Let's look at Ryan Poles' track record, even. All the guys he signed. Small contracts, small money. Do you really think he's going to break character and pay Robert Quinn a 4 or 5 year deal worth $100 million? It's not going to happen. This is not Ryan Poles' mantra, and this team is not ready to win. That's why I believe the first report. I don't believe what Ian Rappaport said second. I believe the first report. Yeah, I'm sure the Bears are fielding calls about Robert Quinn. If a good offer came, goodbye Robert Quinn. Plain and simple. To then correct your report saying, oh, the Bears aren't shopping him, that's bogus. Of course they are. Everybody's available. This is a rebuild, not a retool. Rebuild. Rebuild. Everybody's available. If the Bears get the right offer for Robert Quinn, goodbye Robert Quinn. I believe the first report. And if I were Ryan Poles, next press conference you have, just admit it. Tell everybody, hey, it's a rebuild. Nobody's going to be mad. Everybody already assumes it's a rebuild. Just say it so we know. And in a rebuild, everybody's expendable. And look at what's going on. Khalil Mack got traded. The only person I could see even being safe is Justin Fields, and even he has been connected to minimal trade rumors. Everybody's expendable in a rebuild. A retool could mean a lot of different things. Everybody's expendable in a rebuild, and this proves it with Robert Quinn and the reports we're seeing. Word of wisdom to anybody watching in a leadership position. Maybe some of you are. Just be honest, please. Nobody likes to deal with lies or white lies, or maybe this is true, or read between the lines. Just flat out say it. Ryan Poles should flat out say this is a rebuild, everybody's expendable, and yes, there could be connections with Robert Quinn. Versus, well, it's a retool, and the Bears really aren't shopping him, and there are conflicting reports. We can all read between the lines. We're not stupid. His fan base is actually pretty smart when it comes to how to understand and interpret reports like these. So I know how to interpret it, especially from somebody like Ian Rappaport. If he comes out and says, hey, possible trade, then, oh no, the Bears are not shopping him. How do you go from one end of the spectrum to the other in a matter of 15 hours? Sure, the argument could be, well, there's a new source. I don't think so. I don't buy it. This report 15 hours ago was not really supposed to come out. Maybe the Bears are trying to do something on draft night, and this ruin their plans? Who knows? But that's the report I believe. That's the one I buy. Because no matter what Ryan Poles says, no matter what Bears PR says, here's the reality. It's a rebuild. It's a rebuild. The Bears are cutting excess amounts of salary. Their salary cap this year is going to be nothing. Next year, it's $100+ million. Not a coincidence. Trading Khalil Mack, even letting somebody like Pat O'Donnell go. Something as small as that to save minimal salary cap. It's a rebuild. Everybody's expendable. Everybody's ready to go. For the right offer, for the right price. Just admit it. So these Robert Quinn reports are probably true. We've known about this for a couple of months, even during the season. Now we're seeing it in real life. Everybody's expendable in a rebuild. The reason you rebuild is because your roster is not good enough. Look at this roster today. Do you really think it's good enough to be a playoff team? Hell no. We know that. Everybody's expendable. Everybody could be gone for the right price. And if ever Ryan Poles start being honest about that, don't want to lose trust too quickly from this fan base. Thanks for watching today's show here on VPOD TV, channel 59.3 in Roku. Really appreciate the time. Remember, you can follow me, Twitter and Instagram at Jon Z Sports, and on Facebook at Jon Zaghloul. You can watch more of this show. Search up Sports Talk Chicago. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, sportstalkchicago.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow right here on VPOD TV. So long, everyone.